So begin with the first item on our agenda is our public questions. And we do have speakers in respect to item 8 on our agenda, which is land at Long Spring Woods. So this is Edmonton. So if you would like talk to us, we would like to
Mr. Etherington.
hear what you
been shoved forward into the lion's mouth.
Yes.
I'd like just explain the form here is it's about 3 minutes,
We try to practice and keep it short.
but you have a practice, so that's fine. Please carry on. We will have time afterwards. So you can.
We'd like that. We'd like to be open and just have a conversation if you guys want to do that.
No.
Was it environment or?
Planning and environment.
Thank you. I was trying to remember what the terminology was.
I put them up here.
Would you mind just bringing it up and to the bit more centered if that's possible? I think it would help everyone.
More like this.
Keep going. If you zoom it out, it won't be so. It's quite a large area.
Mm.
Do you mind if I do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to control minus or plus.
Okay. There we go. If you just bring, that up there, because we all know the bigger Long Spring area.
So I can crop it, I guess.
While George is quickly wrestling with that, thank you for letting me speak. We're finding this quite emotive, but we tried to write this down and be very sort of like constructive and sort of give you our perspective from where we've been. When did we start this show? Was it last? Yeah. Okay, Chair and members, thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm speaking on the recommendation in the report accompanying agenda item 8, additional land at Long Spring Woods. I agree that this parcel is environmentally valuable ancient woodland, and I share the council's objective in protecting it in the long term. That is precisely why we approached the Williams family and agreed terms to purchase it, intending to manage it as ancient coppice woodland alongside our neighbouring woodland. And this is where I'd just like to point out where we are. So, you happy? So this is our home here. This is some of our ancient woodland here. And then further down on the other side of the woodland that we're discussing is some more ancient woodland that we own and a paddock.
That bit.
Yeah, this is ancient woodland, that section, and then this is our paddock area here.
You own all of that.
Because our land adjoins a parcel and provides direct access, we feel particularly well placed to manage and protect it over the long term, maintaining the parcel as an ancient coppice woodland. My concern is that if the town council purchases the parcel, we would not be able to deliver the community benefits relied upon in the report, and it would add little to the protection already in place because there is no access to do so. The Green Community Investment Plan says the council may obtain additional land if it could be used for a community benefit. The main Long Spring Wood purchase in 2024, which is that large section on the other side of the plan, clearly meets this objective, and it is publicly accessible. I use it personally. I think it's fabulous. Connects with existing rights of way, provides walking routes and volunteering opportunities. The report says this smaller parcel contributes to residents' social, mental and well-being and to their cultural, recreational and sporting interests. But what it does not make clear is that this parcel is landlocked with no direct public access and no public right of way. This is not new information. During the 2023 Asset of Community Value process, Margaret Carr, the policy officer and PAT manager at Sevenoaks District Council, referred to it as landlocked parcel in correspondence, acknowledging the lack of public access. In May this year, the council confirmed that this information had been circulated to councillors. Creating public access would require agreements with 4 separate private landowners or create a new access in the 60 mile per hour zone on a bend in Oak Lane, which is that element there. Thank you. It also suggests leasing the land to the neighbouring resident. We're assuming that's us in that description. No such agreement has been discussed, so it should not be assumed to be available or viable option. In any event, the private lease would not create a public access or community use. While we supported and welcomed the acquisition of the main Long Spring Wood, this smaller parcel presents a clear different case. The options presented in the report have not been shown to be viable and rely on assumptions that have not been verified. At a time of constrained resources, substantial commitments to accessible community access and essential local services, new investments need to demonstrate a clear and meaningful benefit to residents. Of the information presented, this proposal is not compelling. I hope we've given you a clear and sort of straightforward assessment from our perspective, and we'd happily have conversation over it. I feel like the previous meeting before was very good like that. If anyone wants me to ask any questions, we're open and just want to answer them.
Great. Thank you so much. And just to be clear, the previous meeting was.
Was it environmental?
Environment.
Thank you.
That's a plan.
I forget the lady that chaired it, but my councillor that's local to me, Chloe, was at the meeting.
Sue Kemp would have chaired it. So fine. I wasn't at that meeting.
I was here, yes, I remember.
Yeah, I remember you saying.
Yes.
Right. Okay. That's fine. So this is our sort of second bite of this cherry. So questions on comments? Hello.
You've talked about access, assuming it's road access and car access. I'm not quite sure if I understand the map. I mean, is it possible that access could be from Long Springs? I mean, from the other side, and it should be, it could just be pedestrian access or.
So pedestrian access is available at the moment, but the school property that bounds here is actually Kent County land. And there is no right of access across it, though people do use it because there isn't any fencing or as such to prevent them from doing so. But there's clearly signs all over it saying that it's private land and people should be using it for their own personal enjoyment. There is no road access to this site. Everything coming off. Would you mind coming down a little bit?
So does there need to be road access in the sense that?
No, but there's no public footpath access either. It's completely landlocked.
But could there be public footpath? Could there be a?
It would not be possible to put public footpath access from Oak Lane into this.
That's beyond me. I'm just saying at the moment there is no, there's no pavement, and it's a 60 mile an hour zone with no traffic like street lights.
Yeah, one of the problems, there's no footpath either side of Oak Lane, is there? Therefore, footpath to join.
The only light that's here is there's one street light there. After that, this is completely dark, and it's particularly dark in the winter time. And this is all ancient woodland, so the typical, it's like overhanging the road, and there is no public footpaths on that section. In fact, there's the only start of the public footpaths that I'm aware of, having lived there for the last couple of years, is actually on the beginning of Britain's Lane. Everything else is just road there.
Yeah.
But you could access this patch of land, this plot of land from Long Springs is what I'm saying.
Not legally, you're not meant to be accessing.
No, I know, but
Potentially
potentially you could.
So it would require an agreement from KCC.
we couldn't
And I
say,
think there is for those who already have leased the land, it's leased to the school and school
Yeah.
property. I'm not sure it's very safe to have people accessing across school grounds.
But would that be a question for KCC?
Yeah.
Yes.
Our current deed with them is that the land that they access is via my ownership, and it's only explicitly used for school purposes and nothing else. Though people do, as you know, do what they do.
We don't know what KCC's plans are for this land long term anyway, do we?
no, might be worth finding out, because I don't think the impression the school use it a great deal.
No, but they don't have any like this. They only use it in the summer months because
Yeah.
at the winter time you can't actually get any vehicle cars onto it. So they keep it for summer, and they'll do forest school there and their sports days, but that typically only starts in the last. Do we call this the half term? The last half term of the year.
Yeah, they could still do it if we had it. Bought it from KCC or something like that. One public body to another, so a community asset transfer would be very easy.
Yeah.
Got it. I'm getting that.
Yeah.
And so the paper talks about potentially leasing some neighbours, which
We assumed it was us. We haven't had any conversation.
And obviously there's been no conversation with you, but what would your response like? Sorry, you
I think
about it, but
I think ideally, because it's hard for us not to think of it in the way that we've gone about it. We contacted the Williamses because we were concerned about this thing being surrounded by us, and it's almost like between our two pieces of land, and we didn't know what was going to happen. The previous brother died. I won't say how, but he died very recently. That's what meant the Longspring Woods came up for purchase. We met his other brother, and he's an equally sort of age, you know, and obviously the family are encouraging him to dispose of assets. So we were like, well, that's good. We would happily pick that up and fold it into ours, because we're already currently doing like improving the ancient woodland, like taking out the rhododendrons and the invasive species. And we would just like to continue doing that with that piece of woodland as well, and just maintain it as it stands.
I mean, I think it's interesting because there's a kind of a time thing on this as well. So as the town council, we've got to be thinking 50 years, 100 years, 150 years time, as well as the immediate. And I absolutely understand what you're talking about in terms of wanting to maintain it now, and how that would work. If it comes to town council, though, it is then there, not in perpetuity. Town council will always turn around and say no, but there would be no.
I think in the short term, then for you, it'd be like, how do you maintain something that you don't have any access to? And it's 3 and a bit acres of, you know, almost ready to go coppicing. At some point, it has to happen, otherwise it goes over and it turns into a real mess. It's not the quality of ancient woodland that you'd hope for.
Yeah. Sure.
Which we'd like to deal with in the immediacy.
Yeah.
In the long term, there's always future discussions then to have about that, because obviously we obviously the previous owner was from there 1952 to the day he died in 2023. I'd love to be that same person, but you know, life gets in the way. You never know. But that's our intention. This is our forever home, and this is where we'd like to be for a very, very long time.
But you won't be there forever.
No, that's the same for everybody. But then if I have this deep affinity with it, I would then be looking at who then takes it on from me. We had to get interviewed to buy Midhurst. They weren't giving it away to anybody. We had to really sell it and say, look, we are here for the long term. My background in landscape architecture and conservation is why I wanted something like that. And I can deal with it. And Jill and Tom, Jill was the daughter of the person who passed away. She's over the moon with what's going on there, because you can really see the love and attention that we're putting into it.
Another question, were you to buy this, and I can see clearly the logic, next one bit of your land up with another couple of bits of your land, with that whole area, would there then be any constraints upon you from developing it?
Well, like we said, it's the same for everybody. We don't want development because I bought the land to have nobody around.
I know what your intentions are, but are there any legal?
So for us, the ancient woodland should be enough to prevent anybody doing it, unless anyone can show me otherwise. It's there for perpetuity, isn't it?
Isn't? I'm not an expert on these sort of things. There are actual constraints, are there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's refused planning permission until, and I think it's the last land to get developed because it's never been developed on before. So there is extensive restrictions on development on ancient woodland, to the point that it has to be extraordinary circumstances that are unavoidable.
Well, wholly exceptions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fortunately, Hermitage Quarry is just about to take out
Yes.
ancient woodland in Maidstone.
Seen that.
Yeah.
I think the thing that makes this really good though is there's no access. If you have access, it becomes a different kettle of fish. But because there is zero access, it's really hard for anything to happen there.
And also, it could be covenantable.
Yeah.
Also.
So just for my benefit, so the piece of land that we're talking about is this, it's that cage.
Yes, that one there.
Which drops down here.
Yeah,
that piece. And you own this? Who has all?
So that's our garden, that's our house, that's our piece of woodland that wraps through to here.
Yeah.
That's our other piece of woodland that wraps through. That's our paddock. There's only one other owner that has a little bit there, which is my neighbour Nick, and he has this little gap here, and he has this little gap here.
And the third plot, the square plot.
This thing here,
Yeah.
I believe that's still Nick's. I'm not sure why that's been separated. I believe that's still part of the same.
Okay. Did we, so this one, planning, was there any recommendation? Planning?
Recommendation was to get evaluation and come back to us. Yes. Get on, yes.
We haven't currently got.
Are we going into a meeting there?
Let's start, this is just background, okay. Fine, any further questions?
That's really helpful.
There we go.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it. Hope we put ourselves across as genuine people and that you can
Yeah.
read what we're trying to do. And we look forward to hearing from you at a future date.
Right,
So much for coming.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
so I think what we normally do, we now go into our meeting, but we take this first.
Okay,
In public. So, first item on the agenda, obvious that absence.
Yeah, apologies from Councillor Daniel, who substituted by Councillor Kenny, and apologies from Councillor Shea.
You request dispensation. Declaration of interest. Minutes of the extraordinary meeting held on the 15th of June. We've all seen any comments on those. No, we have to approve those. Okay. Oh, sorry. Wrong agenda, fine, wrong. Finance minutes. 15th of June.
8th of June, 8th of June, page 2.
Number 4.
You're still on your.
Oh, you're still on number 1.
No,
You're.
This one. Take that.
I think I've got 2 copies. Maybe I've got 2.
Right.
I've got this one. Here's 3, so you have this one.
Right.
Apologies for that.
8th of June.
Oh, it isn't. No, I haven't. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
8th of June. No. Any comments on that? Are we happy to approve them? Yep. Yes, thank you. Right, we move on to agenda item 8, additional land Long Spring Woods, page 71. So, this has been discussed at the planning committee. Recommendation there was that we obtain valuation, bring back. So I think there are 2 parts to this conversation, one in public and one we will take private under agenda item 12. So the item we're discussing in public is what in principle our views are as to whether this one should pursue discussions to purchase the freehold of this land. Who would like to start?
My view, thank you, Chairman. My view is that we have already purchased a large piece, a big piece, and intending it to be used by anyone in the community. And to maintain it for perpetuity. As long as perpetuity is. And we would have control then over what happens for its future beyond all of our existences. And this maintains a piece of valued local land. So I'm in favour of us continuing to purchase this. We would welcome a local residents to also enjoy it and to use it, but the legal ownership would be in the town councils and therefore for as long as the town council and this system lasted. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, first of all, thank you. I didn't get your names.
Hetherington.
Hetherington, so Mr. and Mrs. or
Yeah.
yeah. But thank you very much for your presentation. I found it really clear, and I think that the issue which makes it difficult, or the issues that make it difficult to make a decision, is we don't know what KCC's long-term plans are for the site used at the moment by St Thomas's. If that were to come up, then that would obviously solve a lot of the very practical problems that you're talking about. I'm also, I hear what you say, what you've been saying about access off Oak Lane. I think it would be important for us to understand about the access on from Oak Lane from an independent perspective. Not saying you're not right, but just in terms of being able to be clear about it. So I think that all of us, I think everybody in this room, wants to make sure this is maintained in perpetuity. It sounds as though there are practical difficulties in respect to the town council taking it over, purchasing it, but it's also, I don't know whether those difficulties can be overcome or not. If they can't be overcome, then they can't be overcome, because if you can't maintain a piece of land, you can't get access to it, then that would be difficult. So I agree with Marilyn, but I would like to understand more about what the practical constraints are.
Well, I echo a lot of that. I mean, I'm probably not the greatest supporter of Long Spring Wood as a wonderful bit of open parkland anyway, not connected to Sevenoaks Common, fairly constrained, and now we're getting another even smaller bit that's not even connected to that. So in terms of preserving it as ancient woodland, if it were in private ownership, perhaps by the neighbours, that would sound as though that's going to be maintained anyway, and the only thing we're losing is public access to it as such, which obviously there is,
Perpetuity.
which in perpetuity there is at the moment. So my thought would be the only way to me it makes sense if some arrangement could be made with KCC, because you've got areas of publicly owned land next to each other. We ought to find out what KCC's, if we've got time, attitude is, and whether there's anything that could be agreed in advance about access across that very wide area, which I think might change my mind, because then it becomes a connected up piece. Otherwise, maybe we could find better things to spend our money on, depending on which it costs.
I'm quite curious to know what our management people at Nick Cave would think about this whole thing, actually. Obviously they have some responsibility for, a lot of responsibility for Long Spring Wood now, and what would they think about it? I think it's another bit of information that would be helpful to understand.
So I think, sorry.
No, it's very interesting, there's an issue of access into that wood, but there is no footpath. I was just trying to check actually whether there were footpaths nearby, and I ran all over that area when I was a bit younger. If there is no public access, it would probably not be of as much benefit to the community as the part that we already own. Which I found was quite well used actually, and which I'm very pleased about. So I'm very much sitting on the fence on this. I just need to be absolutely certain, and you'd be very reassuring that this is land that will not be developed, and that there is no intention of developing there, because it would change the nature of Pickerington completely. And as we know, there's quite a lot of people looking at different parcels of land in Pickerington for development. So that is my nervousness.
Okay, thank you.
So I think what we're saying is it would be really helpful to have an idea of how the site would be managed if we were to take it over. So I think that would be, because at the moment it sounds as though that would be quite difficult. Well, I think that would be one, and as part of that, I think the question of engagement with KCC would be, so I think before we make a decision one way or another, I think we need a bit more information. What's our time constraint on?
6 months from the date we gave.
I'm just trying to find it.
And without mentioning numbers, because we can talk about that in a moment if we have to, where are we in the process of talking to, of establishing values?
So we have valuation.
Once we look at
We have,
We've had valuation.
okay,
And we
Fine.
discussed with the owner agent.
Fine.
And they're waiting for a meeting tonight.
okay. So I think that's a pertinent piece of information, that's a confidential piece of information. I mean, I guess my view is that whereas in the past, I would have felt relaxed about ancient woodland, given changes going on at a national level, and the extraordinary pressure places like Sevenoaks are under to build houses, and the designation of green belt for grey belt. I just think that sort of anything we can do to protect the environment that makes even slight sense, we should do. I think that if we were to buy this land, the sensible solution would be to discuss with whoever wanted to talk to us on the two obvious candidates in the room, a usefully long, a significantly long lease on the basis that we're a long way from being able to join this up with anything else, and the proper management of its land in the meanwhile seem to be inherited. But I don't think we can take a kind of fully informed decision until we have the private discussion about it. Where
And until we know about ACC,
and possibly some other things.
You do have time if you wish to defer the decision to 1st of September.
Well, I would
If you want to
certainly,
do an in principle and then have more information.
that's fine. So are we happy to take an principal decision that states that we're not going to have enough information to do that? In principle, do we find this interesting or not interesting? In principle, do we want to carry on?
In principle, it's clearly interesting, we will be talking about it otherwise. But I think we need to know what the price is, and we need to have some idea of how.
I'd like to visit it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so in principle, we would like to continue to explore this.
to explore it, yes. In principle, I wouldn't be in favour of buying it if it had no right of access
Would
across
not,
that KCC
would
land.
be, or not be,
It would not be.
not, okay. Fine.
But we don't know what the, I mean, that's a conversation with KCC, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, okay, so I think we're minded for this. These discussions to carry on.
Yes.
Can I just add to that, which I should have said earlier? Interesting information that this obviously was woodland, it's obviously chestnut, was it chestnut? then?
Yeah, I would say 95% of it is coppice, sweet chestnut.
So, and the coppicing is a really important part, and it's actually a cash crop, so it's valuable, it has value,
Sure.
Because I think Long Spring would have just been coppice when we bought it, we've got.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But practically, we'd have to do that as council, we'd have to get it copies, with no access, so.
You might have just add to that, just to understand the thing, like anything that's coppicing, there's time frame. So at the moment, there's a stand in the main Long Spring Wood. The forester that was working for the Williamses got in touch wondering when you guys will be doing it, because it's getting close to
So
being financially.
planned that that's.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's the difference between like when you copy something, when you don't. If you let it go, it's not used to anybody.
Yeah, we understand that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
fine, are we happy with that
Yeah.
position at this stage? Yes, are we happy to vote on that, continuing discussion? Fine.
Thank you.
Okay.
What's that?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Enjoy your evenings.
Right, could we adjourn the meeting for a few minutes and invite Richard to bring us up there?
Thank you very much for allowing me to speak in between between meetings. So very quickly, the county council had the Lord's Prayer and National Anthem for the first time on last week. The Lord's Prayer was well observed. The National Anthem was not. And the Greens decided to try and sing 5 verses of their own making from verse 2 onwards. There are videos online. Interestingly, the main part of the agenda for last week's full council meeting was the Kent Minerals Plan, which was going forward in principle to the government inspector. Most of the issue was about ancient woodland in Maidstone, and it is also coppiced. And the value of the ancient woodland is not in the coppice at all. It's in the ground that has been undisturbed for many centuries, and you can do what you like over the top of it as long as it remains intact. It's providing all of the spores and the fungus and all the rest of it that our environment needs. I learned a lot in the space of 2 hours of discussion. We actually in the end voted by 36 to 34 to send it forward to the inspector. So it was very close. It was an unwhipped vote. It could have been a whip vote. The Reform decided not to whip it, and it was very, very, very close in the end. Some good news on the footpath. I think have you heard the footpath up to London Road from the cycle path is going to be done over the course of the summer.
Yeah.
6 weeks. Closed for 6 weeks. And today the good news was that Route 4 on the LC Whip, which is everything from Crampton's Road going up towards Sainsbury's, has got the funding. It's about £1.5 million worth of funding for the cycle route coming from the north of Sevenoaks onto the Battenball Junction, which is great news. I have had last week two work experience people working with me, one of whom presented to some of you here on Friday with some interesting ideas about tree planting, water capture and waste recycling, which I hope can be taken forward. I have put her in touch with the Climate Action Network, and David Finch has put her in touch with the chair, so that side of things is progressing. I've had a lot more in the last 6 weeks. I've had I think 3 families approach me with regard to special education needs transport appeals. I'd already had 2 before that. That is 6 more than I've ever had before in the entirety of being elected. We had a debate on sending transport appeals in the county council. There is a real issue with the amount of money that the council is deciding to give to children with SEND over the age of 16 to get to education, and whether it's sufficient. Derby Council have already been taken to court, or took to court to the Ombudsman, and been found to be wanting, and Kent are risking the same thing. And in the middle of all that, Kent have had an Ofsted inspection. So this is the 3rd Ofsted inspection in 2019. One said we required improvement. 2022, one said the same 9 weaknesses applied. This one, having done a lot of SEND improvement work, we will see in the autumn. It will report in the autumn, but it happened last week. And the only other thing that I will distribute, because it got distributed to all of the county councillors after the meeting, is the Crime and Disorder Committee, the Scrutiny Committee, SAF's the Crime and Disorder Committee, and it details all of the police work that's gone on over the county and the relative priorities that are being used. There's still some more work to do about that. Needless to say, we live in one of the safest, happiest, crime-free areas that ever there was, and the prioritisation of resources is based very much more strictly on the levels of crime that are apparent. That's not to say we still don't have a few issues around, but in terms of total level of resource given to Sevenoaks, it's not going to be increasing anytime soon, but we are well ahead in terms of relative criminality in the area, certainly in the division. That's.
So I guess
Did they talk at all about crime that is online?
They did, and they are
Scams and things, which is worth much more than the burglaries and things.
It is, and again, it's very difficult to tie down to a particular area, but because generally Sevenoaks is well educated and well and aware of the scams, even though some get through, they're less badly affected than other areas. So whilst people feel, and the same with shoplifting, in a very low crime environment, a little bit of crime seems like a great deal, but in fact, this is why that report is important over the whole of Kent.
The
Because
sums are large, and perhaps it's the way they're reported.
maybe overall in Kent, not particularly for someone.
Okay, I guess the other thing is 4B,
Yes, well,
it is confirmed.
it is confirmed, yeah.
And
Well,
with elections next May.
for the district, yeah. So
Right.
for the unitary, it will be for shadow elections.
Shadow.
So the LGR committee that was supposed to sit on the day before county council and the day before the announcement got cancelled because everybody, and having had a one meeting with chief executive and deputy chief executive, there is a lot of work going on in the background, but because the decision hadn't been taken and we actually the money was on 4D rather than 4B, that now people are working out what they need to do. There are one or two very bad analogies going around. My personal one is that this needs to be seen as a relief in place, the military analogy, where the county council activity just gets taken over by the new unitaries coming in behind doing exactly what they're doing, because there'll be a little bit of movement from the district councils into that organisation, because the size of the county council organisation versus the district is about 9-1. So the new unitary needs to be moving in on the county council activity well ahead of what it does on the district council side.
What's the talk in Maidstone about the timing for the mayor of Kent?
There's absolutely no indication yet about how that is going to work. I mean, I think because the higher politics that's been going on, we can anticipate that because Manchesterism is going to be forward leaning on a mayor, and 4 unitaries are going to need a mayor in order to when there were 3, you just about said you could survive on your own. 4, you're probably going to need a mayor to look after police and crime, fire and economic development, as well as major transport routes, and that would be a good way of getting devolution. There's also a fear in the county that both Mid Kent and East Kent are already financially insolvent. I mean,
Insolvent.
yeah. So as soon as you say these two exist, there's more adult social care and special educational needs education in that side of the county than there is in this side. And so on immediately you vest, yet the amount of money or the formulas have to change in order to match that problem. And that's why the relief in place is a good analogy, because those activities which are life and limb activities, especially in adult social care, need to absolutely smoothly. There can't be any break whatsoever.
So is there potential that there will be elections for county mayor next May?
No.
No.
I mean, of all of the possibilities, I think the earliest that could be would be May 28th, and probably in line with any general election in 29.
Right. So that would then mean that the 4 unitaries would exist, both in shadow and in reality, without a mayor.
Yeah, because they'll, to get the strategic authority, those 4 unitaries will be supplying councillors into the strategic authority.
Okay,
But that's probably worth it. An away day, and I'm trying to understand how the town because there are possibilities for the town council with community asset transfer if we do it right, of becoming a really,
Of course.
what's a resolution? Anyway, I'll leave it. to it.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, right. We must press on, back, we have the meeting, we've got, agenda item 5. That's reports which the law has the opportunity to read. The headlines are: in May, we had a surplus of about 5,500. We are in 2 months, we have a surplus of about 38,000, with 60,000 ahead of budget. So we are in reasonable shape. There are, as usual, a whole list of ups and downs, backwards and forwards. Couple I discussed with Georgina. We have a couple of hires for this room who have who are dropping out. Which is bad news. Good news is that you can budget for them. I think people's been talking about a little bit carrying on and so forth. Those more absolutely in relative terms. There's some disappointing news about the bus, which we're working on. Anything to add to that, Linda?
No, I'm waiting for a part. So those hirers in the waiting, in fact, it's being used for the youth services outreach regularly, every week. But the wheelchair accessibility is waiting for a part. And so those who need to use it for that are not able to hire it. It sounds like it's very near to being sorted out.
Okay. Is there anything else, Linda, at this stage?
A long time.
Yeah. Anything else, Linda, you want to do?
No, I think it's early days in financial rules.
Okay, is there anything that councillors want to draw out from your report? No? Okay. Which is fine. We then have a whole lot of items that we need to approve. So we need to approve the financial reports. We then have 5.1 statement of accounts, supplies accounts, list of payments, payroll account. Yes.
Unfortunately, doesn't say recommendation, it's required on page 17.
So before we approve all of those, there is a small item on page 17.
Right.
Which is
Oh,
approving
yes.
the payment
We approve that.
to clean and reline.
Can we approve that? Because it is used quite a lot.
Yes, I know that it needs to.
It needs to.
Yeah, just for information, is that something that ought to be regularly budgeted for, like every 3 years or something? For the future?
6 years.
6 years. 6 years. It's fine. Okay, and then are we have to approve all those various items? Agenda item 5. Excellent. We have, I'm sorry, there are more. Yeah, all the way down to 5.6. We then have bank mandate update. People with and council bank signatories. We have to approve those. Yep, thank you. We have recommendation on allotment rents.
Yes,
We have to approve those.
yes.
Thank you.
It's the next field.
Sure, we've done item 8. Rugby club lease. We've got a rent review on the rugby club lease due on the 25th of December. So we then have to decide that immediately.
You've got a meeting with them soon. Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. I'm not sure we're going to talk about that tomorrow. No, we're going to talk about floodlights and some things. The comment here is to appoint a qualified valuer. I'm not sure we need to do that for an interim rent review. I think we just need to sit there, and I suggest that Linda, Claire and I sit down for the next few weeks and discuss what we think is appropriate in the context of the way that we deal with the other major sports clubs in the town.
Can I? Question that, so. When was the last time there was a professional evaluation of my rugby club?
You normally have a valuation when you renew the lease.
Right.
I can't remember when it was, and with event reviews traditionally, because they're so expensive to get the valuation.
Yeah.
Counteract all that, you increase the level. I've normally gone up by inflation and looked at that, rather than getting a new valuation.
I just think it's important that every so often, I mean, be it 10 years or whatever, do have a professional valuation. In case we're getting UK hopelessly out. I mean, I do absolutely take your point, Linda, about the cost of the valuation.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 25-year lease.
So we're,
It's I mean, the current figure is 3750. So
it was last. So would it have last been done in
2019.
2019?
Oh, so it's relatively recent.
So relatively recent. Okay, I think that answers my question.
I think the bigger issue is, that we have other sports clubs who, where they own the building, which is the same situation as this, pay a headcall.
Yeah.
Rent.
Yeah.
Whereas the sports clubs like the cricket club that don't own it, and we do all the repairs. So, for example, their roof, you know, roof lights at £25,000, pay a rent. So it's bringing that into the equation as well.
I think my recommendation is we understand the value of our
yeah. The recommendation is that it's bring us back. Okay. Okay, are we happy with that? That should do that. Thank you. We have current matters. Back on current matters. No. I'm not aware that there's anything we talked about as far as press release. With case, we will we need to resolve that exclude the public and press because we're about to discuss some confidential information, and we're happy to resolve that.
Yes.
Yep. Thank you.
Put us on mute.
Yep.
Thank you, good evening. We have no public questions as such, that correct, no public questions, right, and apologies for our absence.
We haven't got the staff. Councillor Clayton, Councillor Vane, my views, that's a shame, Councillor Willis and Councillor Barley.
Thank you. And requests for dispensations? No, that go to the first. None, minutes of the extraordinary meeting of the town council, which was held on the 15th of June, pages 5 to 10. Did we receive, has everybody had a look?
Yes.
And we received the document signed minutes, the extraordinary meeting of the town council as a true record. Show of hands. Thank you. That's very much. Minutes of committees. Council will consider we adopt the minutes following committee meeting, planning and environment, council account.
Thank you. I propose that we consider and adopt the minutes of the planning and environment committees held on the 15th of June, 29th of June, 13th of July 2026.
Thank you. Thank you. All, you vote on that? Thank you. Thank you very much. Finance and.
I'd like to propose we consider and adopt the minutes of the Finance and Delivery Committee meeting held on the 8th of June 2026.
Thank you, Robinson. Thank you, and everybody's happy with those. Thank you. Youth Services Committee. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
would like to propose that we consider adopt the minutes from the Youth Services Committee meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Costello. You've got a second of that. Thank you. That's good. Right, everybody happy with those? Thank you. And the Community Assets Open Spaces Committee of the 6th of July 2026. Thank you, Councillor.
Yes, ma'am. I propose that we consider and adopt the minutes of the Community Assets Open Spaces Committee held on the 6th of July 2026.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Dr. Canning. You're seconding, yes? Thank you. Are we all happy with those? Thank you. Reports to council. Have we got any reports from outside bodies on Sevenoaks Town Council? Yeah, we've got two actually. I think we'll start with you, Councillor Canning, if that's all right.
Ladies first.
Yes.
Georgie and I went to the Green Flag Awards ceremony last week on Thursday. It's a very nice venue at Wimbledon. It's the relatively new football club at Wimbledon. And there were a lot of people there, and we got our Green Flag Award. And we were actually featured for some of the things that we did in some of the films they showed. So that's exciting. We met up with the Swanley people. We've got 3 Green Flag Awards. Yes. So we talked to them and shared with them and other things too. And I think this movement has grown from sort of keep Britain tidy ideas and really parks being very much under threat at one time. To now 3,000, nearly 3,000 organisations take part now. And some, well, as I say, Swanley got 3 green flags for their different parks. And we got our flag, our green flag, and I think people appreciate how well we are trying to look after our parks and helping us to keep them well used and
Could you
tidy.
remind us how many years we've
10
been awarded?
years.
That's very good news, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
So we were quite proud to be there, weren't we, Georgie?
Yes.
And enjoyed it and meeting a lot of interesting people doing interesting things.
Well, thank you so much
All
for
over.
going and bringing back such good news.
All over the country. And the second thing I'd like to talk about is I went this morning to the Sevenoaks Wildlife Centre where they were experimenting with using motorised wheelchair access vehicles. So, being a bit of a sports car owner, I went for one of the quick ones, but got a bit really scared myself. And then ended up with probably the most expensive one, which felt very stable. But the idea is that it's actually a beautiful visit, and there were only 8 of us took part, which was a bit disappointing. And the idea is to get more people able to visit such a beautiful place. And of course, this morning was a lovely summer morning, not too hot and sunny, and the birds all look very happy on their islands in the lake. And they're hoping to purchase suitable vehicles to help people with assistance needs to access the park. So yeah, we've got a counsellor that's even more disabled than I am. He might like to give it a go. Going around there. That's good. So we'll have some photographs to show you and things. But the improvements of the wildlife centre seem to be being appreciated by the people. Really, quite a lot of people at the centre this morning, including identical twin boys in their twin buggy, and I didn't crash into them. But it was, and there were people running and yeah, it was good. So, and I'm hoping they'll work a bit more with us, because I did remind them of what's going on at Bradbourne Lakes. Yes. And which is progressing, and the real work's going to start there in September, October. So, just to sort of. Well, I felt my own mental health and well-being visibly improving as I looked at,
It's
it's
good to hear that, because you've been very busy this week on our behalf. And
Yes.
It's really appreciated.
So it's
Thank you
been
very much. Thank you. Dr. Dixon.
Yes, just very briefly on the Friends of Rhinebeck. I think it was 13 members of the Freunde von Sevenoaks came over at the end of May from Rhinebeck for the annual visit. And thank you, Madam Mayor, for hosting the reception. I think they all really very much enjoyed that. I believe we try to get an article into the next town crier about that visit.
Did they enjoy my German speech?
Wunderbar, I think it was the general word. I'm not sure what it means, but that was the comment. So they've organised a social event coming up in in September, a kind of Oktoberfest for our local members, and the AGM is now fixed for November, and then it's on to planning for next year's visit to Rhinebeck. And the membership is steady at about 31 people. So we stagger on into the future. Well, that's all for relatively good news.
Thank you, Councillor Dr. Dixon. Thank you very much for that. Yes, I've really enjoyed the visit. So the next item is mayor's engagements with you have to off. And deputy mayor's been very busy as fast.
I'd just like to note the Herculean efforts of the mayor and deputy mayor attending 4 separate events on the 5th of June and then again on 27th of June. So I mean, there's a great deal of work being done by the mayor and deputy mayor to great effect, and I think we ought to acknowledge that and say thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I enjoyed it. Do we have any items for a press release? On this agenda. Yes, okay, good. Yes, I've seen those on social media. Yeah, I've seen the green flag awards on social media.
I'll certainly ready to decorate that. We've got pictures for you.
We've done it.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, it's really lovely.
Because people do appreciate what
of zoning our parks.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's good news.
We, they're really good press releases.
Yes,
So thank
they
you
are.
very much. I think we're all circulating, won't we?
And if you feel you can also celebrate what the Barbara Centre is trying to do, that would be nice.
Yes.
Because it's a very important centre for the area.
Right, it's not for us to do that, it's for them, all the rest of us. But anyway, thank you very much for the report. Do we need to go on to agenda item 9? Is this something that we need to do now, having discussed?
Not all councillors really want.
Okay, right, okay. So, item 9 is to resolve on the Public Bodies Admission Meeting Act 1960 to exclude the public and press for the following item by reasons of the confidential nature of the business. And do I read out the item? Yes, so we're going to discuss the Stag Community Arts Centre.
That bit was nice and short, wasn't it? So it was, when's it been stepped again?